Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt like yourself in the morning? Not just awake because you had to be, but truly present, steady, alive. That quiet kind of energy where your mind is clear, your body moves easily, and you just feel like you. Not an older version, not someone fading into the background, but the same man you've always been, just seasoned, maybe wiser. I ask because far too many men over 60 wake up each day feeling a little dimmed, like the edges of their vitality have softened, blurred. And most of them think it's just the price of getting older, that this is how it's supposed to be. But what if it's not? What if the fog in your mind, the cold hands and feet, the lack of drive, especially down there, weren't inevitable at all? What if there was something so simple, so natural, you could begin tomorrow morning, and your body would start to remember what aliveness feels like again? You see, we've been sold this story that decline is our destiny, that after 60, the best parts of us are behind us. But the truth, the quiet, powerful truth, is that your body hasn't forgotten how to be vibrant. It's just waiting for the right signal. Years ago, a man named Miguel walked into my office. 68, retired electrician, still strong in the shoulders, but carrying a weight he couldn't name. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Doc, I don't feel broken, just like something's fading. Like the dimmer switch on life's been turned down and I can't find the dial." That image never left me, not because it was poetic, but because I'd heard the same thing in different words from hundreds of men just like him. He wasn't complaining. He wasn't asking for a magic fix. He just wanted to feel connected again to his mornings, to his wife, to himself. He'd noticed changes that didn't seem like emergencies. Colder feet at night, stiffness in his hands, and a soft but growing distance in intimacy. Things weren't wrong exactly, but they weren't right either. And here's the thing. He thought it was just age, that he should accept it with quiet dignity. But it wasn't just age. See, there's something most people, even some doctors, don't talk about nearly enough. As men grow older, one of the most crucial systems in the body starts to slow down in subtle, cascading ways. Circulation. Not just the big dramatic stuff like heart attacks or clogged arteries, I mean the smaller, daily flows. The gentle pulse that brings blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every corner of your body, especially the parts that we tend to stop thinking about until something feels off. Your circulatory system is like a network of rivers and streams. When you're young, those rivers flow fast and strong. But over time, especially past 60, the vessels narrow. They lose flexibility. They don't expand as well under pressure. It's like trying to water a garden with a stiff old hose. The water still comes out, but it doesn't reach all the places it used to. And when the flow slows, everything it touches is affected. This is when you start noticing changes in energy. Your memory's a little foggier. Your hands and feet feel cooler. Your skin doesn't heal as fast. You tire more easily. And yes, that crucial, deeply personal part of your life, intimacy, desire, function, all starts to shift. Not because you've lost something essential, but because the blood isn't getting there like it used to. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't just about sex. It's about feeling alive. That pulse of confidence, that physical presence, that ease in your own skin, it's all deeply tied to circulation. When your blood flows well, your body is nourished. Your muscles respond. Your brain fires. You stand taller. You think clearer. And yes, you feel more there in the bedroom, too. I remember the look on Miguel's face when I told him that what he was feeling had a cause, and more importantly, a solution. It wasn't some vague, irreversible aging process. It was biology. And biology can be supported, shifted, reawakened. The key was doing something small, but intentional, each day. Something that told the body, I'm still here and I still care. That's when I told him about beets. Yes, the humble beet, roasted, juiced, powdered. However you take it, This root vegetable is one of nature's most powerful tools for improving blood flow. It's not hype. It's not a trend. It's biochemistry. Beets are rich in something called nitrates. When you consume them, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, a natural compound that relaxes blood vessels and helps them expand more easily. It's like turning on a gentle faucet after years of it barely trickling. I told Miguel to try it first thing in the morning, just a small glass of beet juice or even a spoonful of beet powder mixed with water and lemon, and to stick with it for at least a couple weeks, because while the effect is subtle at first, it builds, and when it builds, it flows. Within 10 days, he emailed me, said his hands didn't feel as stiff in the mornings, that his morning walks felt lighter. By the third week, he grinned in my office and said, "My wife's been smiling more lately. I think she notices something too." It was that simple. Not a miracle, just nature aligning with intention. And that's the thing. We often think solutions have to be complicated, expensive, or locked behind prescriptions. But our bodies were designed to respond to food, movement, breath, the very things we evolved with. Beets just happen to be one of the foods that support what many men over 60 need most: relaxed, open blood vessels, and better flow. Now maybe you don't like beets. That's okay. You can roast them, blend them with berries and citrus to soften the flavor, or mix beet powder into a smoothie with banana and a bit of ginger. Some men like adding it to their morning oatmeal, or even as a small shot with breakfast. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. But here's what matters more than the beets themselves: the act of doing something for your health each morning. When you choose to begin your day with a food that supports circulation, you're doing more than feeding your body. You're sending a message to every cell: I'm not giving up, I still care, I'm still in this. For men like Miguel, and maybe for you, that one small change became the catalyst for a wider shift. He began walking after breakfast, just 20 minutes around the block. Not fast, not for fitness, just for flow. He called it his daily defrosting, said his legs felt warmer by the end, his shoulders loosened. Sometimes he'd think clearer during those walks than he had in years. And it didn't stop there. He started drinking more water, a full glass with a squeeze of lemon first thing in the morning. Less coffee, more presence. Fewer processed foods, more colors on the plate. He told me, it wasn't that I felt 20 again. It's that I didn't feel fading anymore. That's powerful, because we don't need youth. We need vitality. You see, we live in a culture that tells older men to sit down, to slow down, to disappear quietly. But every man I've ever met who takes his health into his own hands tells me the same thing. I just want to feel like myself again. And that self, that vibrant, grounded, deeply capable self, is still in there. It's not about chasing what was, it's about reclaiming what is. The strength that comes from choosing to care again. The connection that returns when blood begins to flow to places that had started to go quiet. It's not just physical, it's emotional, relational, even spiritual. So maybe tomorrow morning, instead of grabbing your usual cup of coffee and sitting in the same chair with the same sense of resignation, maybe you start with something different. A small glass of beet juice, a walk in the morning air, a deep breath. Maybe that's how it begins, not with a big transformation, but with a quiet turning toward yourself. Because when blood flows, life flows. And your life, your energy, your presence, your intimacy, it isn't behind you. It's still here, waiting. And once that shift begins, once your body starts receiving that quiet message of care, everything else becomes easier. It's like loosening a knot that's been pulled tight for decades. You don't need to tug harder, you just need to know where to begin unraveling it. And it often starts with blood flow. That single thread runs through every system: your brain, your muscles, your heart, your most personal parts. When it flows freely, your body starts to feel less like a burden and more like home again. But I want to be clear, this isn't about relying on a single food. Beets are a beautiful beginning, but they're just that, a beginning. I tell my patients that circulation is like a symphony. You don't need perfection, but you do need rhythm. And rhythm comes from how you live, not just what you eat. So once the morning habit begins to take hold, once that first breath of energy enters the body, there's a natural next step: movement. Gentle, consistent movement. There's something almost miraculous that happens when a man starts walking again, not to reach a destination, but to remind his body what flow feels like. Just 20 minutes after breakfast, not a power walk, not a punishment, just a quiet rhythm, heel to toe, breath in and out, one step at a time. Your blood moves, your lungs expand, your brain clears. It's the kind of motion that wakes things up, not just muscles, but memories. A part of you comes back online. Miguel started doing that, said he liked the sound of his shoes on the pavement, said the birds seemed louder than he remembered. He started noticing his neighborhood again, and in noticing the world outside, he noticed something inside. He didn't feel as heavy, not in the physical sense, but in the emotional one. That low hum of tension in his chest had softened. That right there, that's circulation too. Not just blood, but attention, presence. From there, we added something else. Hydration. Simple, right? But overlooked. Most men don't realize how chronically dehydrated they are. Blood is fluid, and when you're low on water, it thickens, slows. It's like trying to push syrup through a straw. So I asked Miguel to begin each morning with a tall glass of water and a squeeze of lemon, before anything else. That one habit often changes more than you'd expect. It lifts morning fog, it improves digestion, it lubricates the joints, and most importantly, it signals a fresh start. Then there's breath, yes, just breathing. Deep, intentional breaths, especially first thing in the morning or just before bed. Most of us, without realizing, spend the day breathing shallow, fast, up in our chests. But when you pause, place a hand on your belly, and slowly inhale through your nose, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest state. It calms inflammation, lowers blood pressure, and guess what? It supports healthy blood vessels too, because when the nervous system is calm, circulation improves. I taught Miguel a simple breathing ritual, 5 slow breaths before he got out of bed in the morning, in through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4, out through the mouth for 6. Not because he had anxiety, but because it grounded him. It reminded his body, you are safe, you are present, you are cared for. That awareness does something subtle but profound. It helps the body stop defending and start healing. As these small rituals wove into his life, beet juice, walking, water, breath, Miguel began feeling different. Not younger, just lighter, more grounded, more himself. His wife noticed. His energy returned in the evenings. He smiled more, not because everything had changed overnight, but because one thing had changed. He'd stopped waiting for decline and started choosing renewal. And this is where I want to speak to something deeper, because this isn't just about science. This is about meaning. When we talk about improving circulation down there, we're not just talking about function, we're talking about connection, intimacy, confidence, that quiet pride a man feels when he knows his body still shows up for him and for the people he loves. That's the unspoken part, isn't it? It's not just about performance, it's about identity. When circulation slows, men often begin to question themselves in silent ways. They don't complain out loud. They don't say they feel disconnected, but they do. It shows up in the way they withdraw, the way they lose interest in touch, the way they begin to doubt their own power, even if they don't say it aloud. And yet, I've seen time and again what happens when that flow returns. When a man begins to feel warmth again in places that had gone cold, emotionally, physically, something reawakens. It's not dramatic, it's not cinematic, but it's real. He makes eye contact differently. He walks differently. He laughs more freely. That's the return I care about, not to youth, but to himself. You see, there's this idea that aging is a slow shutting down, that the best parts of a man's life are behind him. But I don't believe that. I've looked into the eyes of hundreds of men over 60, men who thought they were too far gone, too tired, too broken, and I've watched them come back to life. Not because of a supplement, not because of a procedure, but because they started treating their body not as a lost cause, but as a companion, a vessel, something worth tending to. That's the heart of all of this. It's not just about circulation. It's about remembering that you matter, that your mornings still belong to you, that your body, even now, is still listening. It may be quieter than it once was. It may take more patience, more tenderness, but it hasn't stopped responding. It just needed a reason to try again. And that reason doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's for your partner. Maybe it's for your grandkids. Maybe it's for that walk you've been meaning to take by the lake. Or maybe it's just because you're tired of feeling disconnected from yourself. Whatever it is, let it guide you. Let it be the quiet fire under your new morning habit. Start small. Tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone or your coffee, pour a glass of water. Squeeze a little lemon into it. Take a deep breath. And if you can, have a small glass of beet juice, or stir some powder into a smoothie. Then take a short walk. 5 minutes, 10, 20. Let the sunlight hit your face. Let your feet feel the ground. Let your heart remind you it's still strong. None of this is about being perfect. It's about being present, about showing up for yourself little by little until your body starts showing up for you in return. That's what happened with Miguel, and that's what's possible for you. You haven't missed your chance. You haven't aged out of vitality. You've simply gone quiet, and that quiet can end, not with a roar, but with a whisper that says, I remember who I am. I still want to feel alive. I still want to connect, and I am willing to begin right now with something small. You have more control than you think, not over everything, but over the things that matter most. Your choices, your care, your presence. No one else can live inside your body but you. No one else can tend to it with the same love and patience. This is yours. And it's not too late to return to it. If this message spoke to something in you, if you felt a flicker of possibility, of hope, hold on to it. Let it guide your next steps. Not out of fear of aging, but out of reverence for living. You deserve that. You deserve to feel strong in your body, steady in your mind, and connected to the people you love. And if you'd like more support along the way, more heart-centered, science-backed guidance like this, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Not because we're chasing youth, but because we're choosing life. One morning, one choice, one quiet act of care at a time. You're not broken. You're not fading. You're not done. You're just beginning a new rhythm. And I'll be right here, walking with you.